All right, we are live. Took a second attempt to get the stream going today, but heck, here we are. Welcome everyone. It is 4:30 Central Time PM. I should add. It's Wednesday. It's been a long week. Office hours here on the Academy. Welcome everyone. Hey Andrew, how are things?
About the same. About the same. Not only have we here on the Academy moved out of our standard courses, we've moved into the holidays and our personal lives. We've moved into masterclass season, and we are busy. We are busy men this week.
Yeah, it's more like a 60-hour week than a 40-hour one, but
exactly. Well, as long as we're up, as long as we're upright and we're having a good time doing it. I don't mind this one bit. In fact, I love it. So,
even dressed up in my classic Build 2014 shirt. Decade ago since I attended my first Build conference as an IT pro. That was interesting. But
shirt's looking pretty darn good for 10 years old.
Thank you. Anywho, should we get to it?
Yes, let's do it.
All right, let me find your screen and click on it.
There we go. That looks like my screen.
Yeah.
All right. So still found the time to come across some news here over the last week. First thing that I had on my list was a post from Rudy Ooms on the Patch My PC blog on improving the onboarding experience. So how we can automatically launch the company portal for users as they get through the Autopilot enrollment process. So just a couple of things that I want to point out here in the blog post. As Rudy points out, at Ignite, Microsoft did announce an automatic startup feature for the new company portal, which is really just a facelift. We've talked about it a couple of times here on Office Hours, which should really improve the user onboarding experience after they go through Autopilot and then just get straight into the company portal. But here's really the meat of this blog post, I think, as Rudy mentions. That's obviously not out in production yet. It was just an announcement during Ignite, but he goes through some ways that we can achieve something similar with the tools that we have today. And I want to take this section directly from what Rudy said. By leveraging its enhanced capabilities, we can start shifting away from the traditional ESP and let the company portal take center stage. This approach simplifies onboarding while ensuring users are informed about app installations and compliance in a seamless, intuitive way. And this is interesting to me because this is kind of going along with some things that I felt like we were starting to hear at MMS in October, that there are opportunities for us to start leveraging the company portal more and more than we currently are today. So this is a really interesting blog post. I like what Rudy's done here, as always, doing some serious deep dives, as he has become well known for. Highly recommend checking this out, maybe throwing something up in your lab and seeing what this experience could look like here in the future. So thanks for putting this together, Rudy. Also noticed that Microsoft announced the dates for what's become a pretty fantastic event over the last few years. Johan, you and I have been a big fan of how they've done this. And I'm talking about the Microsoft Technical Takeoff here. So in the past, the last few years that they've done the technical takeoff, this has primarily surrounded things like Intune, Entra, Windows 365, all of the solutions that we're using in systems management today. Usually a couple of half days. We don't quite have an agenda yet for this, but we do have a date and time. So March 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. From 7 a.m. to noon Pacific time, so roughly half days. I would go ahead and mark your calendar for the technical takeoff, and then we'll keep an eye out for this agenda to be released here in January, it looks like, and we'll make sure that we definitely will be talking about it on office hours, I have no doubt. Couple of other things that I ran across. Peter Vanderwood put together a blog post on device compliance for WSL. So if you need to manage compliance for WSL across your footprint, there are a couple of things that you need to do here, including the Intune WSL plugin. You need to deploy that out to your devices and then put together some compliance policies. So Peter put together a step-by-step on how you can do that in your environment and start managing compliance for your WSL deployments. And last but not least, another gentleman that has been extremely busy lately, it seems like, Steve Weiner over at the Get Rubik's blog put together a post on how you can manage HKCU or the current user registry Hive with Intune. And why this is important, I'll just, again, I don't want to steal the thunder from Steve's blog post here. So I just want to point out the reason for this blog post is HKCU. If you actually run a get child item path and look at just HKCU and PowerShell, you'll see if you run it as a user, you will get your current user registry Hive. But if you're doing this through Intune, and you're running this as system, you're not going to get anything. There is no logged in user. You're just system. There's no profile. So you have to find ways to work around that, determine which user hives are present on a device. And Steve does a very nice job, as usual, walking through how you can actually do that. So another great tool in the Intune tool belt, I should say. So really great stuff, again, as always, coming out of the community over the last week. And that was what I had for today, Johan.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. I haven't been entirely away from the community, even though we have been busy with the class. So a few things I wanted to share. The first one, I was up way past my bedtime last night, working on a Intune report for a customer, ConfigMgr/Intune health check, and after like 7 hours writing, I was like, no, I've had it. I need to do something else. So I decided I should make a better Ninja Cat. I haven't really liked that character that is floating. So I spent some time with some AIs that I've been using in the past, and this is what came out of it. A better Ninja Cat.
That's pretty cool.
So basically a crossing of Jurassic Park and a cat with a flag. So that was fun. And you can see from the timestamp when I was done with it, it was early.
Yeah, exactly. You were past late.
But on the update side of things, ConfigMgr 24.9 was released as an early ring. So if you want to play around with that, do that in your lab, not production. it's going to take a little while until all quirks are sorted out. It's always like that. There will be a month or so, and then it's going to be another update released, and they always find something. So get it going in your lab, but don't update your production just yet. As always, to get it installed, you need to download that early enable early ring exe file, that when you run it will extract the PowerShell script, and then you simply open up a PowerShell prompt, put it where you have that script, and you run the script, you specify your site server, and optionally your verbose, and then hit enter. And the next time you open the console, it will show you that you have 24 and 9 available, and simply went ahead and installed it. As always, before you do an installation of a ConfigMgr update, make sure you don't have any pending reboots. I happen to like to run a script to check for pending reboots. I have that up on our repository, but basically run that and see there are no rebooting pending, because it's like the update doesn't like it. Simple as that. Some of the announcements or features in 2409, in the search area, you can now specify which workspace you want to search in when you're searching for things globally in ConfigMgr. There were some changes regarding renewal of keys. So if I go over to my tenant and, for example, want to renew my cloud management gateway key, now when you click renew here, you get a new dialog where you basically can configure a little bit on how long the key should be configured. So that was a nice addition. There was also support for ARM in terms of software metering. And something else about ARM that I forgot. BitLocker support for ARM. Quite important one. If the one I should remember is probably that one, but disk encryption, yeah, ARM supported, absolutely yes. Plus official support for Windows 11 24 H2 as well as Windows Server 2025. It happened to work before, even in 24.3, but it was not officially supported. So that was some of the changes I stumbled across in this new release. There was also enhanced security for CMG. I haven't had a chance to play around with that one yet, but if you go to Cloud Management Gateway and take a look, there is this new thing up here that changed how the storage account is used. But yeah, maybe we can talk about that more next week when I have a chance to actually play around with it. On the bad side, or sad side, however you word it, Microsoft did announce yesterday that they going to deprecate the support for the MDT integration in ConfigMgr. It happened to still work. I tested it out in 24.9, but there was a note saying that they're going to end the support on October, planned end support for October 2025. Planned ending of support can change, but I had this. It had been coming for a while. This change.
I mean,
there haven't been it hasn't been an update in close to a decade on that integration.
And I suspect you've talked about this a bit on Office Hours before. I suspect it's not coincidental that it's coinciding with the end of life of Windows 10, right?
That seems like it. It seems like it. I mean, if you read the regular MDT release note, it basically says as long as there is mainstream support of the latest Windows 10 version that's supported, which is actually 1809, we will be supported. But that time, of course, has passed a long time ago. But yeah, good point there. Absolutely.
That's probably one of those times that you're not happy that you're right about something.
No, I mean, I love MDT. It's been part of me for almost 20 years. There's a lot of things that I've been working with it, and it's extended family, put it that way. That's how I view it. So sad that it's been gone. Sad that it didn't was continued. But heck, life changes. Other things will take its place. Right now, the only solution we have available supportedly for config is for imaging is ConfigMgr from Microsoft. So, but that's why we have other companies now starting to develop solutions. To buy software that I work part time for. We didn't hire Michael Niehaus just because his good looks. It's also to help writing a new deployment solution, and who better to do that than basically the grandfather of MDT. So we have something coming out, Deploy R, at some point next year. So looking forward to that.
It's exciting stuff.
Yeah, very much, and it's going to be part community, part commercial, like a lot of things. But we will have more information to share down the road on that one. So that's very cool. I've also been writing a few blog posts. I've been arguing with Sysprep as of late. I learned that even the Windows 10 media, I thought it was only Windows 11, the November media having having the Copilot app installed by default. So even if you disable internet access on your VM, you still get it. It's part of the media itself. So you have to remove it. Otherwise, Sysprep is going to be fantastically upset. And it's not like it fails. You can run the command and try again. It breaks so bad, so the machine is unusable. If you reboot it again, you cannot log in ever to it. So you have to start over. And that is fun. But now I know it. So now I just added in a step into my sequence when I was building images, still with MDT for that, I should add, into my Windows 11 24H2 here to just nuke it. The script that runs that command. So easy to fix, but a bit annoying, I thought.
Mm-hmm. That looked like a very unhappy Sysprep.
I was very unhappy. Then I finally came about earlier Sunday. No, Monday. I think it actually was Sunday. I published this one. It just happened to have switched over to Monday. It was after midnight. But I was presenting at Ignite, and that session was not recorded, unfortunately. So I put together the blog post that I promised to share. So I did. So this is like a short version summary of everything I covered in the session. Everything from prepping to readiness to DO settings and upgrading, and also share the scripts that we showcased or that I showcased in the session here. So basically a script to generate scripts. So this is a PowerShell script that, first of all, there's one script that will check for the presence of a script and the version of a script. If it's not there, it will create it. So it will call the remediation, and that remediation will generate a couple of things. So it will generate a batch file that is used for setup complete CMD. It's using a PowerShell script called by that batch file. It creates the init file that has all the settings for the upgrades, and it also generates a local logging module here. I learned something new this week, and also that there are tree controls or code control in PowerShell allow you to basically take a snippet and just say this function, go ahead and export it to a file. Brilliant. Did not know that before, so I have some creative finds, I thought. But long story short, you run this script, and when you go into your file system, you will have these files being created, and the setup is going to use them because of the init file. So that was that.
Awesome.
Questions, anyone?
We do have some questions in here. We also have some hellos, and I should give a special shout out too. And one Mr. OSD Cloud I see joining us today.
Mr. David, how are you?
Not seen that name in here for a while. Happy to see you. And of
Yeah.
course, everybody else, Brett, Carol, Matt, hello, hello. So the first question we had actually was a little less technical, but Matt was asking, you've got great photos on your blog posts. Can you share how you get those?
Oh, yeah. It's a mix. Some Photoshop. Their AI is getting slightly better. Using Midjourney quite a bit. Runway for animations. Kling AI for animations. I do not use ChatGPT for photos. It's quite terrible, I think, at it. But the other platforms are pretty good. So that Ninja cat video I just showed you, AI, all of it. I didn't have to touch anything up. Just did it.
Awesome.
Took me 25 prompts, but did it.
You got there.
Yeah.
Matt was also asking what we thought about the MDT deprecation in ConfigMgr and what is the impact on ConfigMgr imaging. I think you pretty much covered that. I don't know if there's anything else you'd like to add specifically around imaging.
No, I mean, basically, if you have an MDT integration today, and you can see this very easily because not by looking at packages. As I said, long week. If you have integrated sequences, they will show because some of these actions, they will have a little like MDT symbol in the bottom. That's how you can tell. You have to migrate away from them. And all functions that these scripts are doing have to be migrated to something other than this. I helped 2 companies already just this year migrate away from MDT over to PowerShell solutions instead for the same customizations. But yeah, get rid of it. But start early.
Right. Matt had one last question here. What time for that Ninja Cat video? It was about 2 a.m., if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 159 was I put the watermark on it and 159 because the AI tool couldn't add it. So I have to go into Adobe Premiere and add a watermark. And yeah, here we are.
Too funny. I rolled over this morning and when I finally woke up, because I did something last night called go to bed and go to sleep. I rolled over with about one eye open and I said, retweet from Johan, 2 a.m. What the heck? Hey, that happens.
It happens.
All right. We've got a question here. Do you know of a way to enable smart app control during OSD, or can it only be enabled via Autopilot and WDAC config or app control?
I have not. I don't know.
No, when it comes to app control, typically look towards one of our other experts, one of our other community experts.
That's basically either you call Kim or you call Tom or you call both that happen to work at the same company. So
yeah, agreed. Brett was asking, I believe this was in reference to deploy R. Do we need any beta testers?
we might. We haven't officially asked for that. We're working with one early adopter or early customer for it. But heck, drop me an email and I will let the mighty powers know. And we'll see what happens.
All right. Very cool. See, this is why it never hurts to ask the question. Is there a way to know? It's a great question. Is there a way to know which boot image you're using in OSD when you're in WinPE?
Yeah, that is being saved as a variable, so you can look it up. The package ID is shows. I forgot what it is on the top of my head, but it's there. So you dump the variables to a file, you will see it, or you enable the debugger and you'll see it.
All right.
I might be able to show it, thinking of it. There is nothing like an unprepared demo.
That's the fun in doing things live.
What they say, what can possibly go wrong in a live demo?
I heard that. I heard a smart man told me that one time.
Well, turn out to be actually quite many things that can go wrong in a live demo. I remember vividly Mark Rusanovich on one of the earlier tech gets. He stood up in the speaker room and said something like, "There is no excuse for failing them." I'm like, okay, setting the bar here, are we?
I guess so.
But I had done some stupid stuff on stage. Even this Ignite managed to launch 2 instances of Zoomit. So I zoomed in like super much when I was going to show something.
That's impressive.
I
I mean, we all know that you love Zoomit for good reason, by the way, but I don't know if you need to launch it twice.
No, it's a very good zoom when you do that. Let's see if I can boot this up on something recent. Of course, I updated the bootman this last night. So I can't use the boot ISO that I had because it's just going to say, hey, you have a different version. You need to download the new version. See if I can put this on the right network and see if we can get a ConfigMgr 2409 booting up. That is always exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I think it's exciting, but we'll see. So while we're waiting for that one to boot, just to show you guys, after the upgrade is done, you absolutely have to right-click your boot image and do an update and make sure that the client version is matching the new 2409 client version. So I still have a few boot images to go, but this is one I'm booting on right now. So that's the one that is updated. Right, type in the password. Pick a sequence. So actually trying out if UDI still worked, and it did, so that was good. Yeah, so here's the debugger running. And let's see what variables we have here. Yeah, that's the boot image ID. So, yeah, it is doable to figure out.
Look at that. One Mr. Mike Terrell also chiming in here in the chat. _SMSTS boot image ID.
That is correct. That is absolutely correct.
And there's your proof.
Yep. Can zoom it. There you go.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
While you were doing that, I was taking a look at, we had a question here on if you're able to migrate Windows Update for Business rings to Autopatch in our tenants. In the documentation, it says there's an import option, but in this case, they don't have or see it. So I went and looked in my tenant. If you don't mind sharing my screen, Johan.
I'll find a way.
Looks like I do have that option. So once you browse over to your update rings here, you can select, there's obviously the Windows Autopatch category. And I'm going to leave these out of Autopatch, but so I'm not going to go through the full process, but it looks like you can essentially select these policies or just click enroll policies here at the top. and this will allow you to select the policies that you want to import into Autopatch, which is actually very interesting. I'm happy we got this question because I missed this at some point. This is how quick this is a great example, Johan, of how quickly things change on these platforms, though.
Yeah, tell me about it. I spent the week updating courseware because the screen had changed since we ran it last time, which was just a few months ago.
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
So if you have this, I guess a couple of caveats, not having known that this feature even existed at the moment. This tenant is enrolled into Autopatch already, obviously. I do have the correct licenses and everything needed to do this. And just based on what I saw about this is that when you do import these rings, this was an interesting fact. When you import one of these Windows Update for Business or update rings into Autopatch, all of the devices that were targeted previously automatically register into Autopatch. So pretty interesting stuff. But it does look like it's available in my tenant at least. All right. A question here from Carol over on YouTube. Can you please recommend a reliable method to update Winget, the tool, not the applications, during Autopilot ESP? Any examples that we can think of?
Not something I have done.
I have not either, but, and I don't think this is the exact scenario, but I did come across a blog post from Rudy. Cloudy with a Chance of Winget. I had to see what he titled this one. But this does have some parts and pieces on how to install Winget itself using PowerShell, using Microsoft Store, deploying an app. This may at least give some inspiration to help with that if this doesn't solve the problem on its own. So I've not done this, but Rudy posting about it and having played around with it, I'm willing to bet that it'll get you part of the way there.
Yeah, and if anyone out there happen to have done this, let us know, and we'll be happy to share the info.
Absolutely. All right. Brett is looking for advice on a campus environment around lab laptops, kiosk mode devices, auto-connecting to a wireless network, maybe using autologon. How do we set this part up? Should we make this a private network?
But it's definitely possible to deploy wireless profiles. Can't say I have done it for a kiosk mode device though, but it shouldn't really be that different.
No, and my guess is you could put, I'm sure there are other solutions, but you could have device authentication with NPS as long as they're domain joined. That would allow them to join the network. Were you looking up? Did you have another idea?
No, it's just searching around a little bit, but
Okay.
no, I didn't find anything specific for kiosk devices, just a regular Wi-Fi profile setup. Well, maybe. Maybe. No, it was Autopilot. No, nothing. Nothing real quick shows up.
All right. Just a follow-up comment here from Brett. Device authentication would be the goal, any device or direction. Again, if you already have NPS for Radius in place, and your devices are domain joined, you could go that route. But it seems most organizations are starting to, or already have, shied away from NPS, maybe in favor of something like Cisco ICE, or I'm sure the other networking platforms have similar type services that could do some device authentication. Maybe work with your identity team and network team, and see if there are any solutions for the specific networking equipment that you have in your organization, might be my recommendation. I'm certain there are things out there that can solve this. I just am not sure of the specifics. I've not had to be in that situation. All right. For co-managed devices, how do we keep Windows Defender platform up to date? Two different ways to do that. I guess it depends on if you have moved over your Windows Update workload to Intune. If you've moved that to Intune, update rings and everything should handle that, sends down new definitions and all of that just like normal. But if you have not moved over the Windows Update workload, then a simple ADR and ConfigMgr that's set up. Let me see if I have one set up here. Set up to download and deploy definition updates as well as engine updates for Defender.
Maybe not download them, but just approve them.
True.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
It's really a need to download small definition files.
Yeah, absolutely. Great point. Just have the devices grab them from Windows Update.
Yeah.
Let's see here. So something like this, set up the ADR with these rules here. And then I think I can see it on the properties. Yeah. And then what Johan was referring to here is you don't necessarily have to deploy them, but you can select no deployment package so that the content is going to come either from Windows Updates or from peers that have already downloaded the content from Windows Updates. All right. Any scripts to share to clean up temporary directories like the temp environment variable, software distribution, things like that?
Oh, yes. Yes. Let me steal the screen and I'll find some. Up on our GitHub repo. I think I put it under Here. This is useful. This is a script we use for cleaning up devices before upgrade. So it has a few different variables in the beginning that you basically just toggle on or off, depending on what you want to clean. And in this case, if that one is true, it's going to clear the ConfigMgr cache. So if I jump to that section, there's going to be a code snippet here that tries to clear cache content of that is older than 5 days. So if you have pre-cache content for the actual upgrade, it doesn't clear that. That would be sad. But also in the end, the most comprehensive cleanup is this one here, which is the native disk cleanup in Windows. So if I go to that section, I have just a list of cleanup areas that I want to use. There's certain ones that I have purposely disabled, commented out, because folks seem to use the downloads folder as their documents folder where they basically keep stuff. So if you delete that one, they're going to be mad. Same goes for sync files, and but basically just a script that clears out a lot of different components in Windows. In this case, before an upgrade, but of course you can run something similar for other cleanup where you start to run out of disk space, because as soon as a machine has only a few gigs to play with, it's going to be a not happy machine. You're going to see all sorts of issues with it. Deploy updates will fail. They cannot download. They cannot extract. They cannot install. You basically start to have machines that are in the risk area for basically security risks, because haven't been able to patch them for a bit. So yeah, I'll put the link to this one in the comments below the video here. But yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We've got another question from Carol around Winget. Do you recommend using Winget to install applications in the system context during Autopilot ESP? Questions regards to the reliability and Microsoft pushing Winget 1.6 with Windows 11 24H2.
Have not tried that either. Not yet. Don't know.
Nope, same here. Thing is, so many of the applications that I'm managing usually or pushing out are Win32 apps, and so at least on a scaled out basis. But I do just see a couple of other comments around Winget. One from Jamie here. Store apps are a nightmare for offline updates. They really need a better official process for providing updates offline when not having direct access to the store. Intune only installs, not updates. And Amir had some follow-up comments around installing the Winget client with PowerShell. Really has been a long week, Johan. Amir recommended installing and importing the Microsoft.winget.client PowerShell module, and then running repair Winget package manager latest and force, which in his organization that seemed to work.
Let's see if I can promote that little
Perfect. There you go.
Yeah, thank you so much, Amir, for providing that info. Yep. Brilliant.
And there was another follow-up from Jamie here. It didn't work system level last time I checked. They expect the user to have admin. So, interesting.
All right.
All right. Do you know if there's a way to have both an OSD PXE server and a network unlock server in the same VLAN or subnet?
For BitLocker, I'm assuming the unlock. No, I think they use the same lookup process. So basically, they are PXE requests, and if you have multiple PXE servers on the same subnet, they will argue, and only one of them will pick up the request or do the actual boot. I don't know if there is a scope option specifically that can be set for filtering out the BitLocker unlock server. I have not tried. I don't know about that one, I'm afraid.
All right. Brett's got an autopilot related question here. When setting up laptops and capturing the Hive, can we add group tag? Not sure. Basically, on the concept of group tagging, how can we associate a group tag to a dynamic security group? Any descriptions that may help sort of describe that concept? So I haven't done too much with group tags. I don't know if you have, Johan.
I have an example in one of my tenants here. Let's take a quick look. Yeah, here is one example. This is one where I'm looking at the purchase order ID. Here is one with a group tag. Yeah. This one actually checks for this one, or this one, or a display name that happened to be this. I've also done some examples with the correlation ID that is actually written into the JSON file that you use with or used to use for Autopilot for existing devices. That one also. No, that was purchase order ID. I picked the wrong one. Yeah, this one here, it comes from the JSON. So, I mean, there are ways to construct these dynamic queries that will be picked up eventually. If you have more control of it, of course, you can script it. You can basically, if you image the device yourself, you can have a script that runs and make sure that the device is assigned properly before allowing the device to continue. So that's doable too.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right. I think we've got to do a little bit of a lightning round here, just paying attention to the time and how many questions we have, which is awesome. That's a great problem to have. And I'm going to stop bumbling now. Any guidance around conditional access MFA exclusions for Intune enrollment? I suspect we might have an issue with this, but not sure how to track it down or confirm what exactly to exclude. Seeing a problem with work or school account on quite a few new builds. Using an OSD TS, and co-management is controlling the enrollment. I literally just came across something about this last night, and I'm trying to remember where I saw it now. Because I have started to hear more and more of this, this type of issue.
Didn't Jurgen mention something about that yesterday morning, also in class?
He very well may have, yep. I will try it. Let me make a note of that.
Yeah, we may have to take that as homework. Interesting question, though.
All right. How would you show DO, Microsoft Connected Cache, savings in an efficient way?
Well, it depends on which cache you're using. if you are having cache service on ConfigMgr, you have some metrics you can tap into in ConfigMgr reports, and also on the cache server itself. There's a web interface you can query either for PowerShell or just browse to it. In the standalone cache, you have the metrics up in Azure to check the efficiency and hit rates and how much is being used, etc. I showcased some of that in the blog post that we shared last week. You can also leverage deliver authorization reports. Either the native ones in Intune, the Windows for Business reports, will show even efficiency against cache servers. Our friends over at MS Endpoint Manager, they released not too long ago an updated version of their DO workbook. It was part of their deep dive on DO. This one gives a lot of insight. Also some sample queries that you can run directly in Log Analytics for this. And then you have all sorts of glory details for caching and DO, and where content is coming from, what type of content, how efficient it is. So this is a free report you can leverage. Of course, it's always a little bit behind because it's still sending stuff up to Log Analytics. Yeah. Shameless plug if you're looking for paid solutions. 2Pint is offering a real-time monitoring platform for DO. Shows traffic as it happens. That's pretty cool. But that is a commercial product.
All right. Matt's asking about during Ignite, Microsoft may have mentioned details about Microsoft Edge scareware blocker. Do you hear about that announcement, Johan, or what the benefits are for that?
Nope.
No, I haven't either.
But I still have like this long list of sessions that I want to catch up with. I have a feeling that's going to be my Christmas gift to myself to find some time to actually watch them.
There you go. That's a good one.
I've seen a few, but not that one.
All right. Matt has been tasked with, different Matt, has been tasked with managing the migration of 400 apps from SCCM to Intune. Any recommendations on a ConfigMgr query or script to identify the most used apps by device count in order to prioritize what to focus on?
So that'll be software metering if you want to track usage. I know that the System Center dudes, they have a report that does the opposite. It creates collection out of applications that are not used much, with the intention, of course, to push out uninstalls to those machines, so you don't have to pay extra licenses. So maybe that. I forgot what the report was called, but I played around with it a while ago. And I mean, those reports are dirt cheap if you find the right one. Maybe search for metering. Yeah, this was the one. Automatically install unused applications. So you might be able to borrow that query and just flip it around. Because that will show you the most used applications. No, I don't have the query memorized.
All right, good recommendation, sir. I lost my spot here.
How could you?
I know. Brett's asking, is Autopatch worthy of the additional cost? What licensing would this option require? So, question like that, I would say, channel my inner Johan. I would say it depends if it's worth the additional cost or not for your organization. Licensing wise, though, is pretty straightforward. You either need the Windows 10 subscription license, E3 Plus, or F3, or the M365, E3, E5 licensing suites, business premium as well. Has some of the available licenses in order to onboard Autopatch. If you are in education, you do not have access to Autopatch. So A3 and A5 license suites not available.
So I mean, the thing here is that it's the service behind the scenes here is the deployment service that Autopatch is leveraging. And the licenses around that, it's not just Autopatch, it's also for some of the other things that you probably want, like drivers and firmware update. They are leveraging that one as well. And then, of course, you have what we showcased last week, I think it was, when you create policies here, you might have seen that you have hot patching available to try out. That one is also leveraged as part of the auto patch and deployment service mechanisms. So it Microsoft is investing more and more towards auto patch, and the unification was announced September-ish. John Vincent did a session back in Switzerland on it, and it was further emphasized at Ignite. So there are some convergence happening in terms of update and features around update. I don't think they will be removed, the normal stuff. I've seen some questions around that because, I mean, you still need to be able to update, but there is investments going in that area that make it, worth the cost, definitely.
Yep.
I think.
Agreed. All right. Getting something went wrong and your PIN isn't available, along with a status and substrates error on a few Intune enrolled devices. I can log in with my password, and Intune is not very helpful with details. Looking for ideas on how to determine a root cause. Sounds like a Windows Hello for Business issue to me, just with the details that I have there. Those are usually a challenge to troubleshoot. I've had to go so far as basically wiping out any Windows Hello for Business config on a device, and as a sort of as a means of starting from scratch, and then trying to set it up again. Those something went wrong errors, though, are I would not describe them as fun to troubleshoot. So.
Yeah. Wow, that was a lot of questions.
Yes.
Thank you so much, everyone. We are unfortunately up on time here. I'm going to go out and argue with the grill and make dinner. And we certainly hope to see you again next week. Thank you for all the questions. We'll be around. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your week.